remember a great quote from someone that I really respected, and he said to me a few years ago, if you want to see more of it, let it win.
So I think of that in every class. If I see something and it's not what I like, I think, God, if we put that first, it's going to be every show, everywhere we look, that's what we're going to be seeing. If we put that first, that's telling the public that's what we're looking for. We are the trendsetters, and we really have to be careful what trend we're setting.
You know, that makes a big difference, because my opinion, I think will, in time, change the industry for the better. That's what I want it to do.
We have to look back and know where we came from. But if you live in the past and say, I wish it was just like it used to be, well, then time marches on and passes you by, and it goes on without you. If you want to continue to win, if you want to win as an exhibitor, be successful as a breeder, successful as a judge, keep up with what's happening. And I think everyone's showing by the size of this show that they're doing just that.
In my circumstance, you know, I've spent 45 years getting ready. I've trained horses for 45 years. I've showed in all the events. I've prepped for all the events. The one thing that I didn't do that I do now is I'm very aware of the rule book and the rules.
The rule book is my Bible. I mean, everyone says, how many rule books do you have? It looks like the library case, but for the paint horse show, we start looking at that rule book days in advance, and every day, every morning, I'm reading that rule book. At night before I go to bed, I study up on the classes that I'm going to be judging the next day.
Just to refresh my mind, like hit the refresh button and say, yep, got to go through the rule book.
We stay educated. We do a lot of continuing education so that we can keep up. The horses are 10 times better than they were 10 years ago. The riders and the trainers are 10 times better.
We're trying to make their industry better, but we can't do it unless they help us by also becoming knowledgeable of the rule book and what we expect.
We read our rule books over and over and over. We tab them, we underline them, we highlight them, and then before every single class, when the next class is coming up, you can see us all sitting around in the judges' room, and we got those rule books open, and we're going and kind of quizzing each other and keeping it. You've got to be sharp on those rules.
And this year we've done something new in the judges' room, and we're watching the Ride the Pattern videos before we come out, and it's helped us become so much more prepared for that first horse. And I think that was evident in a couple of our classes. Our first draw was #1 and ended up first and second on almost everyone's card. But that has helped us so much know where to sit, know where the tricky parts of that pattern are.
We've been watching the pattern layout before we judge the pattern classes, and we've been watching rein-in tapes before we judge the rein-ins, and you can never get too much education.
It's all back to the rules, just exactly what you said. The rules are laid out for us, what the jog should look like, what the trail should look like, what a 360 should look like. It's black and white.
I think that education is the most important part of our industry, and those that want to be good will educate themselves and help themselves and not take the attitude, I've been judging for 900 years, I know how to do this, and always be right, because you're not going to be. And you've got to accept that humility.
You know, when you walk down there at eye level, it's a different view from the stands. I've seen it, I look at both of them, I coach people, and that view on the ground is different.
When I was still actively training and judging, I took every opportunity to take like one of my students with me and have them ring steward for me, because they would always walk away at the end of the day and say, it's a lot different when you stand in the middle of the arena. So that's a different perspective, and reading that rule book, you know, that can help you stack the deck in your favor.
You know, I try to do what's right and find the best horses.